yeah, we can speak about radical non-duality. We're just talking about radical non-duality, which I am in that category. I'm normally put in the category of radical non-duality, and especially when I was younger and I first started speaking, I was more radical. So what I love about radical non-duality is it really stays on point. There's no place for the person to move. It just keeps coming back to the same message, and it's like a meditation to me, a repetition. So it's like I used to listen to it and see it as a meditation, and I used to feel like I could mirror back or sense or resonate with the freedom of the teachers in radical non-duality. The problem with radical non-duality, like everything, even me as a teacher, is that you leave the place with teachings. So you leave the place with ideas, and it becomes a new belief. And ironically, when I first started teaching as what was classified by a lot of people as radical non-duality, I got bullied the most on the internet by radical non-duality people. So in the beginning, I got a lot of harassment for not being radical enough and being fake and bad because I wasn't radical enough. Which is ironic, isn't it? Because I understand their pain, because they felt like I had hurt them or I was doing something to them. But it's amazing how we get into these stories that they could equally just not listen to me, but what they think in their story is they're saving everybody else from me. Like that I'm a bad teacher and that because I'm not radical enough, and that they're saving people from these non-radical teachers. And that's something that's expressed often in radical non-duality, that everybody else is giving hope to the me or giving hope to the person, or pandering to the person. And so then it becomes a whole belief system in the followers. And I can also see how followers that have felt they've been led astray or misled by people in the past can really get on board with that and really have grudges against other teachers. You led me astray. I understand all the pain of it. And I'm not trying to project in any way that I'm perfect. There's so many ways in which I've failed as a teacher over the years. Ultimately, I can't fail because everything is perfect, but I can also logically look back and see that there are better things that I could have said in that moment, or more compassion or more empathy, or not being so rushed or something, or, look, I can see that there's many ways that and I can see other teachers, there's many ways in which in the moment they could have, moved up to the mark more. And I'm sure that I've hurt lots of people in the past from speaking and not being able to, people feeling like I'm belittling their ideas or not taking their pain seriously or not being empathetic. And I can understand that. And I can understand anger and resentment that builds in people. But in the end, the irony of it is what non-duality is pointing to is that which is beyond all of that. And that's so incredibly hard to talk about without new belief systems forming. Because as soon as I say that becomes a new belief system. But we're actually trying to not boycott, but go beyond the mind, seep in between the gaps of the mind, try to illuminate that which isn't in mind and isn't in thought and isn't in the opposites of thinking. And in doing that, I know that I've most probably hurt people and upset people. And the opposite, people have felt very liberated and free from speaking and interacting with me. It's the difficulties and the complexities of speaking. It's always going to be the way. There's never going to be this perfect, all good teacher that you're looking for. It's the problem, you know, there's always going to be problems with trying to communicate that which is beyond words. And the teacher is always going to fail and succeed, because that's the nature of life. It's the nature of life. There are things that you can look at where that you've got teachers which are trying to suck in all the energy for themselves. So the difference between like a destructive teacher and somebody that's, what do they call it? I had a web page open that like understanding the healthy. It was really nice. They had like nice lists of healthy charismatic authority figures, evaluating charismatic authority figures. And unhealthy charismatic authority leaders. I think I would mostly be defined as charismatic in a way. And then you've got the evaluating unhealthy and then healthy ones. And you know, that's down to you to learn about and put the information into the body. So when you're listening, you can define if that person's being healthy. So I'll read out evaluating charismatic authority, unhealthy charismatic authority figures. So the leader of the group has an inflated sense of importance and connection to greatness. The leader needs ideas and desires, and the leader's needs, ideas and desires overriding. They erase the needs and ideas and desires of group members. The leader can do or say almost anything without repercussion. There are no checks or balances on their behavior. The leader belittles all others' ideas and belief systems and any other leaders who are in the leader's realm, i.e. other New Age leaders, if the leader has a New Age philosophy. The leader takes credit for anything good that happens and blames others for anything bad that happens. The leader treats questions and challenges as threats, and they may see enemies everywhere, inside and outside the group. Members must idealize and revere the leader and the ranking leadership. Members who challenge the authority of the leader or the leadership group are punished, publicly humiliated, shunned, or kicked out, and may be portrayed as enemy traitors. The leader claims special powers, knowledge, and lineage, or maybe claims to be divine. Signs of healthy, charismatic leaders or groups. So this is healthy ones. The leader or group has behavioral checks and balances in place. Members are treated as valuable individuals. They are not discipled servants or pawns. The leader has a sense of humor and a humane leadership style. The leader or group values and promotes members' ideas and beliefs. Members have the right to question, doubt, and challenge the charismatic or authority figure. The leader or group deals responsibly with conflicts and challenges. There is no belittling, punishing, or shunning. Members have the freedom to come and go as they please. The leader of the group considers and promotes other ideas, other beliefs, and other groups. The leader encourages critical thinking and intellectual pursuit. The group is open to the outside world and to non-believers. So that's I can link this if you like in the box below if people are interested. But in the end, that's not non-duality. That's how to deal with the leader figure. So to deal with people like me or with other radical non-duality teachers, to be able to discern the difference between healthy characteristics and unhealthy characteristics of the leader, and when you're buying into that and believing in their ideas, and then when you're coming back to your own experience, I always feel like it's best to come back to your own experience. But having said all that, this is really going beyond all of that. Non-duality is going beyond all that. But I can also acknowledge and see that people that come to my talks or other teachers' talks fall into this pattern of projecting it onto the speaker of non-duality. and making them either all good or all bad. Oh, that was what I was going to say about Lori Vallow, is making them all good or all bad. And we're not, like humans, like awakening experience or not, humans are fallible. Oh my goodness, I'm speaking today. We, all of us, we all have good points and bad points, awakening or no awakening. Like the awakening in a way is non-human. Like I still have difficult characteristics. You can ask my partner, I can still be difficult and cooperative and not cooperative and all of those things. And that's the characteristic, that's the personality. What we often do when we get into this subject is we want to make the teacher all good, which is actually a psychological deficiency that we have in our society, of this all good. We also train our children to try and be like this, like you're a good child, you've got to be all good, and not incorporating shadows and dark sides and difficulties. Like it's like if somebody's done something bad, it's like they're shunned from society and it's like they are bad and we no longer want to interact with them. They go to prison and they're off. Whereas a more balanced society would be able to look to why somebody does bad things and or what we consider bad things and why that happens, and look at the psychology of it and discuss it and talk it a bit and look at ways in order to heal that. So that would be a more balanced society. But our society is very much based on black and white. Like if you watch the news, it's like this person is good and this person is bad, and it's a very narrow way of thinking. So when we come into spirituality, we then project that onto the teacher, and we want this all good parent figure that never does things wrong. We also do it actually to film stars and to people in famous position, and we've now got this, cancel movement where it's like they do something wrong and it's like they were grumpy in a restaurant and it's like, okay, you are an abusive person, you're out of here, and they're never allowed to work again. And it's the nature of the mind. So say in this situation or with other teachers live streaming on YouTube once a week or something, or doing streams, you're only seeing me give talks, you're not seeing all my other personality, so you've got a projection onto me. You're not seeing me when I get annoyed with the computer or can't be bothered to do something or tired. You're not seeing a holistic character. You're seeing just me giving a talk, and maybe you're having openings going beyond the mind and that, and then it gets projected onto me, which is totally unrealistic. So notice in yourself when you're doing this, when you're making somebody all good or all bad. So with Lori Vallow, what I was going to say is this is often personality issues. So personality disorder often is characterized, like not often, but sometimes is characterized by having this all good, all bad mentality. Not being able to see grey. So I think this checklist that I gave you is really good for looking at speakers, when you're trying to define the speaker's intention or where they're coming from if they do these types of things. But in the end, non-duality is not about that. So you can even get a toxic person that's had an awakening, and when you're listening to them, you're recognizing non-duality, because it's beyond a person being toxic or not toxic. So it's like mind-boggling about this. So somebody that's got a toxic personality that's trying to make the talks all about them can actually have an element of freedom in the talk, which people are resonating with. And also what you can do is you can use it to look at yourself. So like Daft Punk said, he used it to look and see this connection between Neo Advaita and the hurt child inside of him. So on the psychological level, like that's really healthy. That's a going beyond and dropping like psychological attachment. So it's beautiful that you can do that. But then that doesn't mean that you have to then carry on listening to that teacher. You can then also decipher, okay, that teacher's being unhealthy or toxic. But it's beautiful to bring that connection and to expand on the human level. But non-duality isn't about this. Non-duality is about the freedom of what you are beyond that, right here. So that's happening in the character. The character's defining that, but that isn't the experiencer. And it's beautiful that your character can heal and expand and get over old traumas. My character still is. I love that. What a beautiful goal on the human level. But that's not the experiencer, and that's what non-duality is trying to convey. The experiencer is this infinite, this not-to-ness. Beyond mind, beyond anything you can think or speak about or perceive. But yet it's perceiving everything, not separate from everything. You can call it the big consciousness, but not consciousness from a position. It is all and no, all things and no things.